everybody. It's lovely to see you all online and in person. My name's Erin Delaney. A lot of you probably know me as English faculty or someone who works in TLC, but I'm also the faculty lead for the Trans Alliance on campus. Trans Alliance is one of, I believe, 10 different alliances, and I've been working on this since October of 2019, so this is about halfway through my 5th year. And I have a couple slides to show you, but I think kind of the first thing to keep in mind about alliances in general is that by and large, our students are people, and in many cases, young people who are just trying to navigate the college, and they need someone in the room who knows the college. One of my earliest experiences as Alliance lead was when I had a student who was new to COC and he accidentally dropped a class. He had meant to drop one, he ended up dropping two. And because he was new to COC, this was a huge deal. He was very upset and he wasn't sure if he was going to get into the back into his class. That class was full. It was kind of crisis mode for him. But we were able to kind of sit down and talk it out and come up with a plan for this student to be able to contact his professor and get back in the class, which he did. And that kind of like small problem solving that seems so huge for students and is something that we as college faculty, staff, and administrators know how to do. That's the kind of stuff that alliances end up doing a lot of the time, is just kind of making sure that all the dots get connected to help the students when they're not sure who to go to. So I'm going to pull up a quick slideshow. I should also say that the alliances are all really different. The students in the different alliances have their own needs, and the people who are running the alliances have their own like strengths that they're working with. And so every alliance is very different. If hopefully Anthony gets here so we can hear more about the Black African American Alliance. Is that Anthony?
Yes, he just did.
Hey, so you'll get a chance to see how their alliance is different because they're all they operate a little bit differently. So the Trans Alliance is an affinity group for students who are transgender, non-binary, or questioning their gender identity. And this already is one of the places where alliances can be a little bit different because the students in our alliance, I check in with them every semester, prefer to keep the group kind of exclusive for students who are trans. And that's because they want, when they're together, they want some insider time. And we'll talk about the kinds of like what that means in just a second. But some alliances are very open for allies to come and join, and it's kind of part of the different alliances' personality or characteristics as to which one they choose. There are definitely benefits and drawbacks to both. What we do in the Trans Alliance is provide academic and social support for students navigating the college experience. We have about 15 to 20 students that meet regularly. By that, I mean once a week. And then we have about 70 people who are active on Discord. The reason my language switched from students to people is because our alumni tend to stay in touch, right? When people are done at COC, they will usually stay on Discord, continue to interact with us, and sometimes continue to attend meetings and events too. So while we are working with students, we're also working with our former students. And then the Trans Alliance is student-led but faculty administered. So what that means is the students really define what we want to do that semester. Okay, sometimes we put on a big event like Trans Day of Visibility, which was just before spring break. And sometimes they want to spend the whole semester like playing Jackbox and socializing. And it's really up to that particular group of students every semester what they want to get done with their alliance time. So they kind of set the agenda for the semester, and then faculty administered basically means they tell me what they want and I make sure it happens. It's kind of the short version of that. So if they want to put on an event, then we put on an event. And if it's something I've never done before, I talk to folks and figure out how to get it done to make sure that they're able to meet their goals. So I mentioned this sort of idea of insider time. that's kind of what our meetings are for. As I mentioned, they're specifically for students who are trans, non-binary, or questioning their gender identity. And we use our meeting time to handle sort of insider topics, things that they want to process as a group. And sometimes that stuff is really serious. Those are support group style topics. Like parental acceptance can be a really hard topic to handle. It's really serious. And I think you can understand why they would want to be in community with other trans folks when having that conversation. The students also talk about national and global events. For example, when non-binary teenager Next Benedict was killed after being attacked by their bullies a few months ago, the students wanted some time to talk about that together. It was really serious and important and a hard conversation to have, but they wanted that time. But we also do stuff for strategies for success in college and beyond. And this is where I also have the chance to kind of leverage some resources, by which I mean I call my friends. We had a student while we were away for the Guided Pathways Institute who was doing a sociology research project, and they were struggling. And I happened to be on that conference with Daleen and Prita, and I was able to ask some questions about research and get quick answers to help this student. And that was something that they might not have had access to otherwise. So I'm able to kind of leverage those resources to help students like very quickly as issues come up. We've also had guest speakers. Thank you very much to Alicia and Erica. You've both come in for us before. Thank you. We use our meeting time to plan events. And then they also want a lot of social times. We do socialization, games, arts and crafts, and share pet pictures, which you can see at the bottom of the screen. I wanted to make sure to include those just as a reminder, like at its fundamental level, the Trans Alliance is a group of college students trying to get through college together. And part of that is sharing pictures of their pets. Then our outsider time, our campus involvement, the place where we do our kind of public facing things. We've held flex sessions in the past, including this semester. We had a student panel talk about their experiences. We participated in advocating for all gender restrooms on campus. And part of that also included advocating for clear signage. And then some of our members also made videos walking to the restrooms because some of the all gender restrooms are kind of like tucked into weird little corners. And so they made videos without anyone in them and without going inside the restroom, just sort of showing how to get to the door. We also participated in the chosen name form that we have on campus so that students can display the name they want to be called, even if they haven't gone through a legal name change yet. We do outreach events like Cougar Fest. We have collaborated with the Gender Sexuality Alliance, who are looking for a faculty lead. So if you are interested, we would love to have that so we can keep collaborating with them. And then we hold events. So the biggest one we ever did was the Trans Day of Visibility, which was just before spring break. You can see our keynote speaker, Faye Hernandez, is the individual with the white glasses. She was absolutely fantastic and showed up looking like a rock star. But we've also participated in Coming Out Day and the Pride Fair on campus. So even though we keep our meetings as sort of like private community time, we still have a public face where we participate in advocacy and activism, and help the campus become more aware of the issues that trans and non-binary individuals are affected by and find important. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Please feel free to contact me with questions or ask me now. I also put our Instagram handle if you want to follow us on Instagram. And then one of the resources we made was on Canvas Commons. I put together a page of resources for trans and non-binary students. So if you want to help your students find the chosen name form or locate the all gender restrooms on campus, you can import that page from Canvas into any of your Canvas shells. And that is what I have for Trans Alliance. Does anyone have questions for me?
Any questions online, comments? I'm gonna say thank you, Erin, for
Thank you.
you. I had the privilege of seeing one of the flex sessions in the spring that Erin helped support with the students. And it's really amazing to see this whole journey of how it started, again, very grassroots efforts of starting alliances and how they've evolved. Diane, go ahead, please.
I just want to thank Erin publicly because Erin really supports all of these students on a very personal level, and they reach out a lot to her. And I absolutely believe she is saving lives by the work she is doing. So I cannot express enough how much I appreciate all of the effort that you have made for these students. They are extremely lucky to have you.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that.
And access to, so speaking of all of the alliances, on the website, I think it's ICC has all the alliances, so there's a lot of great information. So if you want to get connected with any of those, we can even put it in the chat. But we do have also, Anthony Morris is joining us. Not an active lead, but Anthony was involved from the beginning too as well. And so just to share, his experience and then how it intersects with other things that you do.
First of all, Erin, wow, okay, I don't have a presentation. I feel like all I have is a folder with some flyers, which I'm gonna hand out to everybody just a little bit too as well. Oh, can you like post that up? So, if I haven't met everybody, my name is Anthony Morris. I am an academic advisor and also adjunct counselor here at COC. I work in direct connection with the Ujima Scholars Program, as well as the African American Male Education Network, which is AMEND. And also started this whole journey off with actually the BSA, the Black Student Alliance. How I received it, because it started before I became part of it. So it started much earlier, but then once I came on board, it sort of morphed into more of a Black student success team, where we were attempting to create a community, but at the same time offer the opportunity to onboard students to counseling services. So it was sort of the pre-Ujima Scholars component, where it sort of evolved into this sort of bridge into counseling services, where we were, at the time it was Evita Antwi as well. Myself and Evita Antwi were assisting and counseling students and providing, all types of different counseling services. At the same time, we also worked on developing a lot of different community events on campus. At the time when we launched it, I know the pandemic had just started to wind down. And so we had a lot of events that were actually online. I wonder if we can bring up BS. Can we bring up the Black Student Alliance on the website? I believe those events are still there, but all of our previous events that we've done over the past few years are actually listed at the bottom, at least the last time I checked, the bottom of the events page or the different activities. So we were in the process of sort of providing counseling services and also conducting activities. One of the main components that I feel were missing was that there still wasn't a active in-person environment for students to engage in. What I have found with dealing with our Black African American students is that there is a high need for a location for students to commune. Even as I work today with Ujima Scholars and AMEND, even with thank you so much, Diane, with the ICC, students are now starting to come in to the ICC. They know sometimes that we'll meet or have different events. As a matter of fact, a quick side note, doing a lunch and learn event, the first one for AMEND. We have Dr. Tyrone Howard coming through. So it's a collaboration with AMEND and Ujima Scholars. And he's going to be speaking, and it's going to be an opportunity for our students, targeted toward our Black students, but we're inviting everybody to come in to talk about building leadership skills and also embracing your identity. And in talking about this, one thing that's been a bit of a challenge is working in all of these multiple silos. You have Black Student Alliance, you have a men, and you have Ujima Scholars. And we only have so many Black students here at COC. So it's been a bit of a challenge to try to bridge the three components together. At some point, just to be transparent, I did present the idea of trying to sort of meld the programs together so that maybe they can all work as one. Maybe, hey, Ujima Scholars and Amend and BSA are sort of all one and the same, and they are all sub-programs. But I think currently there's still somewhat working in separate silos. So it is a little bit difficult when you don't have a coordinator that's working to coordinate how these are all going to interact with one another. So that's the biggest challenge there. However, overall, I think engagement with the program has been amazing. We had some amazing events coming on board with the BSA. We have special guest speakers come through. I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of new students that have come through. It hasn't been consistent, to be honest. It's been sort of a roller coaster ride because I've only been able to commit so much time every single week to the cause, and I'm hoping that there's more of a consistent coordinator component that can be involved with this, because I truly believe in my heart that there is a need to sort of have some form of an air traffic control and working all of these different components together. That's just sort of my experience. What other things would you like to hear? I know I could talk forever, so I just want to give you a snapshot.
Can I add?
Sure.
I love where you ended, because one of the things that Anthony and I talked about, we just had a parking lot conversation.
Yes.
And he was sharing some of these things, and I said, yes, please, you need to say these things, because this is what this committee is about. Is over time, we've looked at, what it is we want to launch, how do we institutionalize it, but we've also been very real about what those resources or needs are. And so I told him, please feel free to share kind of what is needed to make it be full and really operating in the way it needs to. And he's speaking on, one of the most disproportionately impacted groups that we see in our data. And so I said, this is really important. So let's bring it forward. Let's share it at the committee. We don't have the answers today, but what will happen is we bring it forward in our next meeting when we're talking about in our May meeting. What do we need to do? How do we need to, focus our attention in 24, 25? What are those, things that we heard from prior meetings or that we know? So this is one of those that I would like to have brought forward. Like, this is something that we know needs to happen in terms of improving the coordination and support. What it looks like, I don't have the answer today, but I know that as a team, we all rally around each other to try to find a solution to better support our students. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that with us so that we can be thinking about that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And just in the experience of putting together events, I've just noticed how much time it takes to just work on all the logistics of booking someone to come through, making sure that you have a location, audio visual. Are we promoting or recruiting students to attend? And this has to happen on a regular basis. And that's outside of any counseling work that you have to do. And it does become a bit challenging to make sure that you are providing quality service in every component that you're trying to, because at some point it gets diluted, right? And then now it's just sort of a few names that are just sort of working in sort of silent silos. But with that being said, I'm happy to be working, especially, I'm sorry I had to sort of relinquish my role in the Black Student Alliance because I had to focus a little bit more attention on Amend, especially since we received grant funding. And I'm happy to announce that we are having our first really big event this year with Dr. Howard coming through. I did want to hand out some flyers if I can to the group.
We can, and we'll also, do you have this electronically?
We do.
Okay.
Cece, thank you so much.
Cece's gonna take care of it. For those of you in Zoom, Cece's on it. It is like air traffic control in this room. So we're getting it.
Yeah, so if you know any students, if you know any students, and once again, this is open to everybody. I actually have a limited amount of seats. I've actually capped it at 60, but I'm, leaving it open to like 75. And if we need more, then maybe we can make that adjustment. But the target is our Black African American students, specifically since this is an amend sponsored event. I'm looking for Black males, of course, but then the next layer is targeting our GMA Scholar students. And then after that, participants in the ICC, and then anybody else that wants to participate. So if you can, in your connections and intersections with other students on campus and in your classes, I would be happy if you guys could sort of mention that. I would be grateful forever in your debt for that.